start of a new NBA season. That's where we begin with today's show in the association, where we're learning more about that historic 7-team trade involving Kevin Durant. Two-time NBA champ and Finals MVP is a Rocket after leaving the Suns. It's been 2 weeks since that deal, but full terms had been slow to be released. Probably has to do with that deal. 7 teams, it's certainly a lot, something we've never seen before in the NBA. Just a reminder, it wasn't only just the Suns and Rockets. Nets, Warriors, Hawks, Lakers, T-Wolves. Sunday was also the day that KD released an official statement on social media regarding the trade, and that he thanked the Suns organization for their support over the last 2 years. Here's Rockets GM Rafael Stone earlier this afternoon.
We were the number 2 seed last year, and I think a very legitimate one. And so we think we can contend now. And we thought we won a close series. I mean, no, not one. We lost a close series last year. And we thought we had a real chance of contending in the playoffs last year. And we hope to have a real chance of contending in the playoffs this year.
Let's welcome in our analyst, Tim Doyle. So, Tim, what did you make of Rafael Stone's comments? And where are you at with the Rockets, who, again, as he mentioned, they were the 2 seed in the West, and they really went and got KD to try to get better?
You know, Tommy, you just asked me 2 questions right there, all right, about his comments and where they are. I don't trust me. I was listening to what you said, okay? I don't like his comments. I love his comments. He's spot on. Yes, 52 wins last year. They have a big-time coach. They have some young superstars. I'm talking about, like, all-star level players in Şagun and Amen Thompson. They have an old crafty vet like Freddie VanVleet. They were missing a closer. They found that now with Kevin Durant. We're talking about top 10 all-time in NBA scoring. 30,000 points scored. And if you look at the Houston Rockets, they were absolutely terrible down the stretch in games because they did not have that quote-unquote go-to guy. And then what did they go out and do? Well, they got one of the greatest scorers in the history of the game to now close out games. They're built defensively, and, you know, I jumped in at 10-1, then they went to 9-1, now they're 8.5-1. This is my pick to win next year's NBA championship. Are they as good as the Thunder right now? I believe so, and I think that would be a heck of a series, Tommy, in the Western Conference. OKC and Houston. We don't know what we're going to get from the East right now with massive injuries to Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton. But the Houston Rockets, it's a July hammer, my friend. Get in right now. This is the best the odds are ever going to be. It's going in the wrong direction. Lock in right now, Tommy.
What would that buy price be, Tim? You mentioned you get it at 10-1. It's plus 850. When does it not become good value for you?
Yeah, when it becomes minus 110, because I think it's going to that. You know, last year I gave out OKC early when Boston, everyone was like, oh, the Celtics. And OKC, don't get me wrong, that was a roller coaster. But that's what you had to expect with a young team like this. And SGA finally got the MVP. I gave that out as well at 5-1 last year before the season started. So I just see, I think Houston, OKC, I'm not saying Houston's like much better than OKC, but I actually think they're built better to win in the playoffs. And now you add in a Kevin Durant. This is my pick. Stop what you're doing right now, Tommy. In between the commercial, get the phone out, text you got a text. The Rockets next year, they win the chip.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Good player. I really think that for both sides, this is a very good trade. I would grade this probably an A for both sides.
I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into that grading bag in a second. But first, I want to touch on the Jazz since they are a part of this. Does this move mean anything for them? Will Kevin Love see the score? Kyle Anderson, the draft picks. What is the allure of this move for Utah?
Yeah, maybe. Again, I think they're just not kind of dealing with the Collins situation. They're putting a few picks in their holster here, and we'll see what Utah does. You know, I think the bigger questions with Utah is they've gotten rid of Sexton. Are they going to kind of try to keep this what they've been to get working toward with Markkanen? Are they going to fully tear this thing down? And you know, they get Ace Bailey, and are they going to what kind of? They're sort of stuck a little bit. They have a lot of assets, a lot of firepower if they want to go out and actually make some meaningful moves. But at the moment, they're working around the margins. They seem to be stockpiling, and I don't think they've probably made a decision on Lauri Markkanen yet. I think they probably play that into the year, take it up to the trade deadline, and just kind of see where they stand. They clearly don't have a move in store right now that they want to dip both feet into the water in, so they continue to operate around the margins, and Danny Ainge is not going to do anything until he's ready to do it. So, I mean, you know, in terms of what this means for the Jazz right now, I think it's basically nothing. You kind of have to just wait and see what the Jazz are going to do over the next 6 months if they do anything by the trade deadline.
Hey, Brad, it's just the Walter Clayton Jr. and Ace Bailey show in Utah. That's what we can look forward to seeing.
Not bad.
And I'm not mad at that at all. Now I need you to put on that professor cap, and let's get you to grade the trade for both sides, we'll say here. I want you to look at the Clippers, what they get, and then also for the Heat.
Let's start with the Clippers. I give it an A. It does hurt to lose Norm Powell, but when your offense is going to revolve around James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, you're going to be okay from the scoring department. But they have really, really bolstered their front court depth. That was really obviously a priority for them coming into this offseason. To score Brook Lopez, I mean, you think about what Milwaukee gave up to go and bring in Miles Turner. Brook Lopez is, yes, at his age, a diminished version of Miles Turner, but you look at the difference in cost. To get Brook Lopez at where they got him and then add John Collins, again, a 20-7 guy, basically. You know, I mean, you're talking about a big-time producer who now goes to a situation where he doesn't have to be the second or even third best player. And that's big for John Collins. He was not able ever to graduate up the ranks in terms of a hierarchy on a team and really be a go-to player. That's where he fell into too deep a water for him. He was making that kind of money, but was never able to really be that. Now he finds himself in a position where he can be in a support staff's position, and you almost look at it like an Aaron Gordon in Denver, who was overtasked with being a number 1 or number 2 player in Orlando, but great athlete, great versatility, and you put him in a situation where he can be sort of that top-end support staff player, and he thrives. And I think John Collins is in a situation where he could potentially sort of mirror what Aaron Gordon has done. I don't think he's as good as Gordon, but in terms of the fit, I think that that's something that he can find with the Clippers, to not have to be the go-to guy, the front court depth. So I give it an A for the Clippers, no question.
And then for the Heat, what grade would you give them? I need a letter from you.
Yeah, I think it's an A too. I mean, look, they didn't have to give up much. They're going to have to worry about Norman Powell next year, but they can worry about that next year, how much they want to pay him then to get. This is an obvious A to me, unless I'm missing something. You're getting a 22-point scorer, a 42% three-point shooter, an all-star level player for basically nothing. I mean, you're not worried about Kevin Love or Kyle Anderson. Now you can go into next year. I don't think this makes them a contender, but in the Eastern Conference, pretty much anyone can believe anything they want to tell themselves. You go in with Adebayo, Hero, and now Norman Powell. I mean, you've got legitimate firepower. You still got Andrew Wiggins on the roster. The Heat go out and make themselves viable in a wide-open Eastern Conference for things to break their way, again, for basically no cost. You know, so the Clippers are worried about next year, but the Heat are worried about right now. And are the Heat done? You know, we're going to talk about Bradley Beal a little bit, but maybe they can get him at a cut rate discount. And, you know, I just think that in terms of what they had to give up to get him, if they had gone out and swung big and given up a bunch for Norman Powell, and then he's going to be a free agent next year anyway, then you look at it a little differently. But they didn't give up anything. They get at that price, Norman Powell is a steal for this year at least.